I am farmer, the soul of the earth. I was born from the soil, and I feed the world. They call me ordinary, but every time you take a bite, remember, it started with me. I am not a celebrity, not a king, not a tycoon. But without me, kingdoms would starve, and cities would collapse. I am the first profession known to mankind. I am the heartbeat of every nation. I am the farmer, forgotten often, but vital always. This is my story, my legacy, my soil-born truth. 1. From seeds to settlements, the birth of my journey. It began not with machines, not with manuals, but with bare hands and instinct. Long before empires rose and fell, I sowed the first seed in Mesopotamia. The land between the Tigris and Euphrates, fertile, wild, and waiting. I was once a nomad, chasing prey, living by the hunt. But then, I saw something magical. A seed fell, a shoot rose, and my journey began. From hunters, we became gatherers. From gatherers, cultivators. I whispered to the soil, waited for the clouds, and carved a new rhythm of life. Homes were built where I plowed. Villages sprouted where I harvested. It was not just food I cultivated, I planted the roots of civilization. Wheat in Mesopotamia, rice in China, maize in Mesoamerica. With each seed, I didn't just feed stomachs, I fed the dream of stability. But it wasn't easy. The rains sometimes forgot me. The sun scorched my dreams. Wild beasts claimed my crops. Yet, I learned, I evolved, I stayed, because something inside me believed that from dirt, greatness can rise. I wasn't wearing a crown. I didn't ride horses, but kingdoms were born because I kept the hunger at bay. I was there before the first pyramid was built, before the first scripture was written. Remember this, before you built your walls, I had already built your world. 2. The rise of my empire, ancient to medieval age. As centuries turned, I walked alongside emperors and peasants alike. In Rome, I dug with plows pulled by oxen, singing songs to the sunrise. In India, I danced with the monsoon, trusting its mood. In China, I bent over paddy fields, humming to the waters. But I was not free. Land was not mine. Feudal lords sat in castles, and I bent my spine for their riches. They reaped my harvest and offered me scraps. I toiled from dawn till night. My hands cracked, my back arched. Yet, I smiled, because my children slept with full stomachs. My story is not written in golden books. It is etched on calloused palms, in the furrows of fields. I saw wars, plagues, famines. But I did not put down my hoe. I watched kings change, borders shift, dynasties collapse. But I, the farmer, remained. Every grain I grew was defiance. A rebellion against fate, a poem of persistence. People sang songs of warriors. But I ask, what is braver than placing a seed in dry soil and believing it will bloom? Through ages, I became more than just a worker. I became the silent warrior of life. I fed both armies and artists. I grew the fruit that sweetened poetry and the bread that built nations. I didn't wear armor, but every scar on my hand told tales of battles won against nature, poverty, and ignorance. 3. Struggles with the sky, droughts, floods, and my silent tears. I am a farmer, but not just a man of the land. Sometimes I become a prayer, whispered under the open sky. Have you ever stood under a dark sky, looking up, pleading for rain, not for yourself, but for the seeds you've buried with hope? That's my reality. There were seasons when the sky betrayed me. Clouds came dancing, but left without dropping a single tear. My crops dried like pages of an unread book. My hands, once full of life-giving soil, turned into cracked maps of hunger. I remember once standing in my barren field with my young son, who asked, "Papa, when will the rain come?" I had no answer, only silence. And in that silence, a farmer's heart cracked. And yet, when the rains did come, sometimes they came too fiercely. Floods stole what drought had spared. I saw months of effort float away in muddy water. My cattle shivered, my grains drowned, and my home, once a symbol of stability, shook at its very roots. But here's the truth, every drop that fell, every sun that scorched, taught me resilience. Crops may die, but a farmer's spirit grows stronger. We learn to build bunds, to conserve water, to shift from wheat to millets, anything to survive. The land became our teacher, and with every lesson, we adapted. Some call it poverty, we call it patience in pain. I may be at the mercy of nature, but I never surrendered my will. That's what makes me not just a farmer, but a warrior in muddy boots. 4. The Green Revolution, Seeds of Change and Machines of Hope. History turned a page, and with it, my destiny began to change. They called it the Green Revolution, but to me, it was more than a policy, it was the whisper of hope returning to my fields. High-yield seeds, fertilizers, irrigation, these were not just tools, they were wings. For the first time, I wasn't just praying to the sky, I was planning with science. I remember the first tractor that rolled into our village. We all gathered around it like children around a magician. For the first time, I plowed without a bull, just a machine and a dream. But technology was just the outer layer. The real revolution happened inside us. We started understanding the soil, respecting crop rotation, and learning market dynamics. The government helped with subsidies, and we farmers started using mobile phones, not just to talk, but to track weather, prices, and even video call experts. My son, who once asked about rain, now shows me videos of modern Japanese greenhouses. We've come far, not just in crops, but in mindset. We are no longer laborers of fate, we are leaders of food security. And even though I still miss the simplicity of old days, the songs sung while sowing, the quiet moonlit nights under haystacks, I welcome this change. Because change gave us choices. 5. Today's farmer, more than soil and seeds. Today, I stand tall, not just as a farmer, but as India's backbone, a startup without an office, a climate warrior, and a food artist. People now see me differently. I'm not just the man in dusty clothes. I'm the person who fills your plate, fuels the economy, and fights climate change with organic methods. My daughter, once hesitant to follow my path, now manages a hydroponic farm. And she earns more than a city engineer by growing spinach. Can you imagine? Today's farmer uses AI apps to detect pests, solar panels to run water pumps, and drones to spray fertilizers. We're connected with the world, and rooted in tradition. But even in this modern avatar, the soul remains the same. We still wake up before sunrise. We still trust the rhythm of the seasons. And we still believe that feeding others is the noblest job in the world. And if ever you wonder what true dignity looks like, watch a farmer wipe sweat from his brow after a long day in the field. That's not just sweat, it's silent pride. I am farmer, the unseen hero of every kitchen. So now when you eat, remember me. Not just the grain, but the story. Not just the food, but the faith behind it. I am not just a farmer. I am the invisible thread in your every meal. The seed you never saw, the storm I silently survived, the harvest I humbly share. When the world slept, I sowed. When the world feasted, I smiled. When the world thanked God, I stood behind quietly, as the human who fed nations. I am the farmer, and my story is not just soil and toil. It is legacy. It is love. It is life itself.